Good to see you again, and thank you so much for speaking with me at length when you were in the St. Louis area the last time about these issues. St. Louis and I are here today to discuss the climate crisis, of course, and the need for clean energy, as well as the devastating impact of nuclear waste created and completely abandoned by the federal government that continues to devastate my community to this day. And we know you weren't in this seat at the time. I just want to say that. Secretary, as you know, Black and brown communities are on the front lines of the climate crisis, and we have been the most impacted by the failure of the government to clean up toxic waste. And also, it is essential that while we prioritize the transition to clean energy, we also address the legacy of the pollution in our communities. World War II is still killing people in my district. For over 80 years, we have been grappling with the nuclear contamination left over from the Manhattan Project, particularly in Coldwater Creek, which is a main waterway central to our community, as well as Westlake Landfill. In March of this year, the Senate passed legislation that would reauthorize the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, or better known as RECA, which provides health screenings and compensation for people sickened by the U.S. testing of nuclear weapons, as well as expanded to include St. Louis and other areas that have been historically excluded. But now we're running out of time in the House. RECA is currently set to expire on June the 7th. We only have 4 legislative days left. Secretary Granholm, do you support the reauthorization of RECA?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you tell us what impact would a lapse in RECA cause on our victims?
Well, I think it is critical that the United States take responsibility for the fallout of its activities in World War II on humans, no matter where they are. And unfortunately, in a lot of our cleanup communities, it takes a long time to eradicate all remnants of radiation. So we have a responsibility as a nation, and I hope we live up to that responsibility.
Thank you. And thank you for listening when you and I had such a deep conversation about this, and thank you for your desire for action. I know that if we do not extend and expand RECA, victims will continue to suffer, and I've seen my community members, I've actually know some who have died. But while RECA is key to making our communities whole, we also must do the work to actually clean up the waste. I recognize that a lot of the cleanup has been dumped on the Army Corps, but I'd like to ask you about this as well. We often hear a lot about the purported benefits of nuclear energy, painting it as the clean alternative to fossil fuels. Madam Secretary, how is the department ensuring that the new waste by nuclear energy is handled and disposed of properly?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We are in the middle of a site-based process, a community-based siting process for nuclear waste. Currently, as you're aware, for civil nuclear waste is largely stored around those plants, which is safe, but it would be very helpful to the United States to have a national repository of nuclear waste that is safe. We're in the process of this consent-based siting effort. There has been 12 entities that have been funded to reach out to communities who are potentially going to raise their hand and to decide how to compensate those communities for doing that service for our nation. That process is in the middle. It takes a bit of time. We're modeling it after a couple of other nations that did the same thing. It takes a bit of time to ensure that we get it right, but we are in the process of doing that, and we hope that we'll come out with a community or communities that are willing to do that.
Thank you, thank you. And I appreciate that the community is also involved in these decisions. That's really important. When we spoke in person during your visit to the St. Louis area, we spoke about the cleanup specifically in St. Louis. And as you know, the Army Corps is the cleanup administrator for these sites. Madam Secretary, how can I work with you to follow up on your commitment to work with the Army Corps of Engineers to get a jobs training program funded by DOE to train members of our community to expedite the cleanup of the Manhattan Project waste throughout my district?
Let's you and I follow up on that together.
Okay, okay. I sincerely appreciate the Department of Energy's effort to ensure that this cleanup happens, and communities like mine, the people depend on it. So thank you for your work, and I look forward to working with you.